If you've ever felt like your soil just isn't giving back the way it should, plants struggling, compost not quite alive, or vegetables tasting flat, you're not alone. Many gardeners pour in fertilizers, mix amendments, and still end up disappointed. But there's a deeper secret hiding right under our feet. The power isn't just in what you add, but in how you wake up the soil's own living network. And for that, some of the best lessons come from an unlikely place: the traditional Korean gardening practices that have been quietly transforming soil for centuries. What makes this fascinating is that the Korean approach doesn't rely on expensive inputs or fancy equipment. It's about harnessing local resources, things already in your environment, and building a thriving population of soil microbes that do the heavy lifting for you. These microbes are the unsung workforce that unlock nutrients, balance soil health, and build resilience against pests and disease. Unlocking their potential isn't just gardening, it's soil engineering at its finest. So today, let's dive deep into this Korean garden secret and explore how you can unleash microbial power right in your own backyard. At the core of this Korean approach is a practice known as cultivating indigenous microorganisms, or IMOs. Unlike store-bought inoculants, which bring in bacteria and fungi from somewhere else, IMOs are drawn directly from your own local environment. That's a crucial detail. Microbes that have adapted to your climate, your soils, your plants, and even your rainfall patterns are far more resilient than anything you could purchase in a package. By collecting these local organisms and then multiplying them through simple fermentation techniques, gardeners create a living amendment that feeds the soil from within. These microbes don't just sit there. They get to work decomposing organic matter into bioavailable nutrients, breaking down complex minerals, and building soil structure by producing natural glues that improve aggregation. In short, they create a living soil ecosystem that can sustain itself. The process begins surprisingly simple. Gardeners set out a container of steamed rice in a shaded natural area, often near forests or undisturbed land where microbial life is abundant. Over several days, native fungi and bacteria colonize the rice. What you end up with is not spoiled food but a dense colony of beneficial microbes adapted to your area. Once captured, this microbial culture is stabilized and expanded by mixing it with sugar, which acts both as food and as a preservative. This mixture is then further developed into soil inoculants that can be added to compost piles, incorporated into soil, or brewed into liquid fertilizers. It's a step-by-step system where each stage amplifies the microbial population until you have billions of microscopic helpers ready to condition your garden soil. So why go through all this effort? Because microbes are the true engineers of healthy soil. They transform locked-up nutrients like phosphorus and potassium into forms plants can access. They break down organic matter into humus, which improves water retention and prevents nutrient leaching. Fungal networks stretch through the soil like highways, transporting resources between plant roots and helping plants resist drought and disease. Even more fascinating, some soil bacteria produce natural growth hormones and antibiotics that protect plants from harmful pathogens. This means you're not only feeding your plants, you're strengthening their immune systems. Instead of fighting against nature with chemicals, you're working with it to create a balanced ecosystem that manages itself. Korean natural farming, or KNF, is the broader philosophy where IMOs play a central role. But it doesn't stop there. KNF involves creating a range of biological preparations, each designed to address a different soil or plant need. For example, there are fermented plant juices that provide trace minerals, calcium preparations for strengthening plant tissues, and microbial brews that enhance composting speed. All of these inputs are made from natural, locally available materials like plants, fruits, eggshells, seaweed, or even fish byproducts. The genius lies not in importing exotic ingredients, but in recycling what's already abundant in the environment. This creates a closed loop that keeps fertility cycling within your own garden, reducing dependence on external inputs. For gardeners new to microbial cultivation, the first step is capturing and multiplying indigenous microorganisms. A simple starter project is the rice method described earlier, followed by mixing that microbial culture with sugar to create what's called IMO2, a stabilized form that can last for months. From there, you can expand it into larger batches by mixing with bran or other carbohydrate-rich carriers, which become IMO3 and IMO4, progressively increasing the volume and strength. Once you've built a healthy stock of microbes, application is straightforward. You can mix them into your compost pile to jumpstart decomposition, spread them into your soil before planting, or dilute them into water to drench around plant roots. Over time, this strengthens the microbial population in your soil, leading to richer fertility, deeper flavors in your vegetables, and healthier root systems. It's tempting to reach for synthetic fertilizers when plants look stressed, but those inputs often bypass the soil biology entirely. They feed the plant directly while leaving the soil impoverished, which means you'll need to keep applying them year after year. The Korean method flips that cycle upside down. Instead of force-feeding plants, it nourishes the microbial network that supports long-term fertility. Once the microbes are established, they continue working season after season, building a living legacy in your soil. And unlike synthetic inputs that can cause salt buildup, pollute waterways, or disrupt microbial balance, these preparations are gentle and environmentally sustainable. They don't just avoid harm, they actively regenerate the ecosystem, making your garden more resilient against climate extremes and pests. One of the most profound lessons from the Korean gardening tradition is the shift in mindset. Soil is not an inert medium to hold roots. It is a living community that must be nurtured. When you care for that community, by feeding microbes, not just plants, you create a garden that grows in strength year after year. This is why many soil engineers, permaculturists, and regenerative farmers have adopted aspects of KNF into their practice. It offers a toolkit for transforming depleted soils into thriving ecosystems without relying on outside inputs. And perhaps the most powerful aspect is its accessibility. Whether you have a backyard plot or a large farm, these techniques are adaptable and affordable. The Korean garden secret is not a single recipe or magic potion. It's a philosophy of working with nature by cultivating the microbial life already around you. Through the careful capture, multiplication, and application of indigenous microorganisms, you unlock soil's natural fertility and resilience. Over time, this approach builds living soil that can nourish your plants far more effectively than any bagged fertilizer. If you're serious about long-term soil health, it's worth exploring these techniques and experimenting with them in your own garden. Every handful of soil has the potential to become more alive, more productive, and more resilient when you unlock the power of microbes. And if you found this guide useful, don't forget to subscribe to the Soil Engineer channel and share this with fellow gardeners. The more people who learn to work with soil biology, the healthier our gardens and our planet will be.